BGK 24/7 online Christian TV network. Making what was once impossible, possible.
Hi, thank you for coming in. This is Dr. Sonia Stinson. I'm coming in on the Rua channel, hosted by BGK. First, let me say happy holidays. We're into the holiday season, and I'm so happy to be coming into your homes, on your mobile phone, on your computers, or whatever device you listen to us. We do not take it for granted that you have tuned in. We indeed thank you for listening in every week to our broadcast, Dinner Table Conversations. And today we have a wonderful, wonderful, phenomenal young woman who is in our studio with us. We're so happy to have her. It's been a challenge to get on her schedule, but we finally got her here. Listen, I want to introduce you to Dr. Monica Lloyd. Hi, Dr. Lloyd. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm absolutely fabulous. How are you?
I'm fine. It has been a challenge sometimes to get you into the studio, busy schedule. You are a registered nurse and you do so much for the kingdom. Along with being a registered nurse, you're also an awesome armor bearer, awesome support for my sister, Apostle Sharon Ruff, and I'm just so happy you've been with us for years, and I thank you. First of all, let me thank you for that, for taking care of my sister. I love her, as you know. I love her dearly, and I see you all, how you all support her. And also thank you for being a guest on the Rua channel. Listen, we are here for all individuals in the small ministries, in the marketplace ministries, just to feature you. And you have some awesome books that I have read and I've reread. And so today we're going to go through one of your books, which I love this book, which you says, I've fallen and I must get up. But before we do that, Dr. Lloyd, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, hello. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it, Apostle. And as it relates to my spiritual mom, who's also our co-founder and servant leader, Apostle Sharon Ruff, I absolutely love her. So to thank me to serve her is unnecessary because I absolutely love my mom and my leader, and it's a beautiful thing to serve her. She's so easy to serve.
Yes.
But to tell you a little bit about me, my name is Dr. Monica Lloyd. I am the executive pastor under her leadership at the at Unveil Ministries, and have been with her for quite some time. I'm married. I have a beautiful husband I've been married to for 32 years. We have 3 sons. I have three grandbabies, and love that part of my life tremendously. As you mentioned, I am a registered nurse. Have been a registered nurse for years and absolutely love that field and scope of nursing that I do as far as medical surge and telemetry, and loving God. And God is definitely, I got into salvation when I was in high school and haven't turned back ever. I absolutely love my salvation in the Lord.
Wow. And you know, speaking of your husband, which I know very well, besides his day job, he has a very phenomenal job, which he entertains children. I know we're not here to talk about him, but can you just share a little bit about what he does? Because I just love what he does. He causes so much laughter to children.
My husband is, we used to always talk about him. His name is George. My husband, we used to always talk about him because he always loved to make people laugh. He believed in laughter is good for the soul. So much so that eventually he became a professional clown. My husband is Glory the clown. He's a professional clown that does parties, that does
Yep.
events, that do
Mm-hmm.
whatever you may need as far as your corporate business or church business or fun or whatever kind of events that you do. He's a professional clown and he absolutely love it. He loves kids. And in the process of that, you say he's a bus driver. He's a school bus driver. He
Mm-hmm.
loves the kids on the bus. He loves them when they ain't on the bus. My husband just absolutely love making people smile. And so therefore, I think that's why our marriage has lasted so long, because he makes me smile every day.
And I've watched him so many times, and he when I do visit you all, he's always has a smile, and he's always there to make us smile. So I just really want to share with our listening audience that, because I think that's so important.
I
You've been
appreciate
married a long
that.
time, and he's just a wonderful man. But listen, the book that you wrote, the first book that I remember you wrote, is "I've Fallen and I Must Get Up." And this is 5 practical steps to recovering from a fall. I've read this book. Of course, I wanted to review it before we came on today. And I read the first chapter. And one of the first chapters, when you're talking about that a fall is caused by pride. What you wrote in the book is that attitude is not developed in righteousness, but of superiority or being exalted. You said pride is a high opinions of one's dignity, importance, merit, superiority, whether as cherished or in the mind as displayed in bearing conduct. You also say in this book, and I want to talk about pride because I think today pride is a real problem with our churches still. I think we're still having a real problem with pride and individuals in the church. So you said pride never considers others. It's only selfish. So when you wrote "I've fallen and I must get up," and you started off with pride. Why did you start off with pride at first?
Well, with the book itself, I saw an incident happen to me when I was downtown. I live in Chicago, and I saw an incident happen downtown. And the reason why I started out with pride is because I saw this man take a fall. And when I saw
Mm-hmm.
this man take a fall, God told me to watch something. He said,
Mm-hmm.
I want to show you something, as this whole scene began to undevelop in front of my eyes. And one of the things that I noticed with the man was that he had a whole lot of pride. He had a
Mm-hmm.
fall, and he had a whole lot of pride because he didn't want nobody to help him at all. He took a stumble, he fell, and he just sat there for a minute. People tried to help him. He wouldn't let them help him. He kept saying, I got this. I
Mm-hmm.
got this. I can do
Mm-hmm.
this. I don't need your
Mm-hmm.
help. I don't want your
Mm-hmm.
help. He kept saying, and I. And I was like, there are people there that is willing to help him, but because his pride that he possessed, would not allow them to help him, he could
Mm-hmm.
not go to the next step. And so,
Okay.
therefore, if you got a person that is very prideful, they can't move on to the next step that God would
Mm-hmm.
desire for them to journey on through, because they too stuck on themselves and not focus on what God is really trying to get to them.
Mm-hmm. So you started the story off with that book, how you saw this person fall with pride, but then you took it back to churches and church leaders, and even in organizations and businesses. And so, where do you see us in the 21st century today in this prideful life that many of us live, and especially as we move into the next decade? Otis. Mm-hmm.
Well, if we're going to, first of all, in the 21st century, if there's pride in the church community and the church or in the kingdom, the problem is
Mm-hmm.
this. You have to understand that God never called you to do anything by yourself. And if
Right.
you are a
Right.
leader, if you are a
Right.
person that figures that you built this, I did
Right.
this, I don't
Right.
need your help, I don't have to
Right.
have nobody cover me, I don't have to have nobody I report to, I need nobody that I need to be accountable to, that is a
Right.
very good symptom and a very good sign to let you know that's pride. That's a whole
Right.
lot of pride. Think about the man in the Bible that says, I'm going to build me bigger barns. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to put all of
Mm-hmm.
my stuff in my barns. I'm going
Yes.
to do
Yes.
this. And so
Right.
God told him, well, on tonight, your soul is required of you because you didn't know how to give recognition to whom recognition is due. And so pride will definitely cause you to fall if you cannot recognize that it's more than just you, that God is calling to build something, because you need God to build it, but you also
Mm-hmm.
need other human beings.
And so when you talk about pride, and I'm stuck on this because even in today we have that mannerism or that tone is I can do this or I build this or this is my ministry or I'm doing this by myself. And so you give six important conversations, as I would call, about I never do anything wrong, and it's always
Mhm.
the other person's fault. This may explain why you are so alone. And is that true today? Even we're getting ready to roll to a new decade. Okay, roll into
Yes,
a
ma'am.
new decade, not a new season, not a new year, but a new decade. And the
Yes, ma'am.
church continues, especially from the pulpit on back. And I have to say this, full of pride. Okay, and I'm just going to use this. We have 100 ministers, but we're the only one can preach. Okay, you can't leave and things like that. And so, is the church still struggling with pride today?
Yes, ma'am. They are still struggling with pride. I hate to tell you this. They're going to be struggling with pride until Christ comes because
Okay,
it's in their
okay.
hearts. It's in them. It's
Hmm.
in them to do.
Hmm.
Now, what will help them be delivered is that they can recognize it, Apostle, that they
Hmm.
have this
Hmm.
pride and don't let it overtake their life. God
Right,
can't,
right,
God has definitely given us a way out and a way of an escape to change
right.
our behavior. But if we
Hmm.
don't
Hmm.
take that, it's going to
Right.
take us to a place that we shouldn't first of all wasn't prepared for us, but it will take you to a place that you will be alone, you will be by yourself, and you will look
Hmm.
back and find out everybody that you killed along your journey in order to
Hmm.
accomplish what you felt like you needed to
Hmm.
accomplish. So to
Hmm.
tell you
Hmm.
the truth, it's going to be around till Christ comes.
Well, isn't part of pride? You wrote in your book, reason number 3 is that I want to get up. You said one of the reasons is that we don't even know our own weaknesses. So are we self-consciously doing talking about I, and when you hear I, you know that person is living in pride. What how do you define that?
As far as, say that again, as far as what
But
again?
you
Say it
said,
again.
no, not knowing your weaknesses. Is it to
Weaknesses.
the Well, is it to the point that we don't know our weaknesses, so we don't understand or realize that we're living in pride, or that we have all this pride inside of us?
Well, then I believe most people realize that they probably do have an apostle, because you will
Mm-hmm.
find out a lot of prideful people are alone. They're by
Mm-hmm.
themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They have
Mm-hmm.
no one to share vision with. They have no one to
Yes.
really communicate with. So if you are an
Yes.
individual that's like that, and you got people that's always in your face agreeing with everything that you're saying and never giving you an accountability check, or making
Mm-hmm.
you aware of some truth that you think is truth, but giving it a different perspective or something, you'll realize
Mm-hmm.
that you do have pride. You
Mm-hmm.
you realize, especially in the kingdom, Christ ain't gonna leave you ignorant concerning your own
Okay.
behavior.
Okay.
He's not.
And,
He's not gonna leave
and
you
so what?
ignorant.
So what happens to that individual who is alone and they are talked to or coached through it and they still. So let me give you an example. And what I'm finding is that when something's always wrong with everybody else but you, is that pride?
That's pride.
Or you're always falling out with somebody, but it's never you never look at yourself. I had this conversation today at work. Before we start accusing, look at what role you played in it, and determine what prideful move you made that caused this person to do. And so I run into people all the time. Well, I can't get along with people. I don't like people. I just can't get around people. They just it's always something. I don't. So are you telling me that if when you find people that are always alone, should we be looking and say, do you have a lot of pride?
Now, don't say it to him like that.
No,
Don't
no,
say
I'm
it
not
to him
saying it
like
like
that.
that.
But I
And
mean, to be honest with you, you have to self-examine yourself. You have to do a
exactly.
self-examination.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yes.
Self-examination. And therefore, you need to self-examine, why am I alone? Why I have
Right.
no friends? Why
Right.
nobody wants to be bothered with me? That's called
Right.
internalizing and doing a self-examination. We as people
Right.
don't like to self-examine ourselves. It's easier to blame the other party, the other person. But when we learn how to be to thy own self, be true, When you learn how to be truthful to yourself, you would then begin to see some things that you are doing, that you need to change, that you
Mhm.
need to perfect. But until you're
Mhm.
able to mature and get to that point, it's going to be
Mhm.
hard for you. And so therefore it's
Mhm.
going to take the Lord. Sometimes,
Mhm.
some people just simply refuse to listen to other people. So it's going to take the
Mhm.
Lord to send somebody that you will have an ear to hear in order to
Right.
bring about a change.
So when you talk about the reason 5, the attack of an enemy, and you write in this book, there's an enemy out there that desires to get you all tangled up. His
Mhm.
sole purpose is to set traps for you to fall. Traps in your mind, traps in your body, traps in your soul. His plan is to keep you falling until you decide that you no longer want to get up. But I command you to stand. So when you wrote that chapter, when you wrote that particular chapter, says that a lot of times it is the attack of the enemy. And we often say, well, the enemy don't do everything. But you also wrote in this chapter, and I wrote this down. You says that um, I'm hollering to stay focused. Never concern yourself with people's insecurity and jealousy of your movement. What did you mean by that? Never concern yourself with people's jealousy or your movement.
I
If you
often
can remember.
say, I can't. I often say this. If you go on social media
Hmm.
today, you'll hear a
Hmm.
lot of people talk about what they call haters. My
Yes, yes,
haters,
yes.
my enemies. They don't like me. They don't care
Hmm.
for me. I often tell
Yeah.
people I am so ignorant of who don't like me.
Hmm.
I am
Hmm.
so ignorant of who is
Uh,
watching me.
right,
To the point because you're not my focus. You're not my
right,
focus. I
right.
rather focus on people that are encouraging me, pushing
Uh-huh.
me,
Hmm.
motivating me, and all of that than to be focused on some people that don't even care about me. It doesn't
Right,
matter. And so therefore
right.
you got to change your focus because matter of fact, if how do you know you got haters?
Exactly.
You
And that's the
evidently
question.
looking for them. How do you
Exactly.
know?
That's the question. How do you
How do
know?
you know? I can tell when somebody don't like me, but how do you know you got a hater? How do you
Mm-hmm.
know you got an
Mm-hmm.
enemy? Because
Mm-hmm.
evidently something, I guess they done transpired or didn't agree with you. Just because somebody don't agree with you don't mean they hate you.
They hate you. Right. It doesn't mean they hate you. Right.
It
Oh,
doesn't
that's
mean they
that's
don't like you.
yes, that's good. That is so good. That is so good because we do social media sometimes is good, sometimes it's bad. I love it in its place. But so when you say focus on yourself, focus on what's good, you then go into chapters to say, let me help you get up. Let me teach you how to get up. And you use the scenario of the man when you were driving and he would not help you get up. Are we still struggling with building teams, wanting to do it alone, and we don't want people to help us get up? We like to
You,
wallow
you
there.
we do. We like to wallow. We like to have self pity. We like
Mm-hmm.
to um, just refuse to get the help or whatever with this man. When I saw him fail, like you said within the book, I gave you some steps that I happened to observe in the process
Mm-hmm.
of him recovering. And you got to allow people to help you. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot, you cannot allow yourself to get to a state of mind that you don't want to be bothered, that you feel then you begin to get guilty. You begin to have this self pity all about yourself, and you still in the same condition that you're
Mm-hmm.
in. You need to realize I need some help. I can't
Right.
do this by myself. Go ahead.
You let me back up a little bit because before I read that, I liked the chapter previous to that. It says you said excess to damage. Now, with this man, you said that he needed to reevaluate why he fall. Why did the fall occur? But he was unable to do that because he wouldn't allow people to help him. So
He would.
is it important for when we do fall and our struggles come to make us strong? Is it important for us to reevaluate why we fall to avoid from making that next mistake?
You're gonna have to. You will have to. If you had a fall, you're gonna have to. This man, this is what happened with him. He had a fall. Once he was on the ground, even though he didn't want nobody to help him up, you know how when you take a fall, you look around to see who's looking at you, to see
Yes.
if anybody saw, to see
Yes.
if anybody
Yes.
saw you. Okay,
Yes.
so while he's on the ground and while you looking around, you need to be assessing, do I have on the right shoes? Did I have on the right
Yes.
coat? What season
Yes.
is this? You know, is
Yes.
it winter and I wore shorts? You know, what
Mhm.
what was going on with what I had? Now, this is a good self-examination time. What is it that I had on that caused this? What did I say to allow them not to speak to me no more? What's going on that I should have perfected or should have changed and should not have done in order for me
Mhm.
not to have gotten into the condition and the state that
Mhm.
I'm in? You have to do a self-examination. So while this
Mhm.
man was on the ground, he looked around, he was like, okay, I see the ice. I see the
Mhm.
snow. My coat was too long. I tripped over my
Mhm.
shoes. I did this.
Mhm.
It's a good time to reassess. And if you don't reassess why you fail, you're gonna fall again very soon.
And you said that because what you put it back biblical reevaluate said, did you seek counseling? Were you in the right mindset when you travel? These are some questions that arise while one is assessing themselves. Do a head to toe assessment. Check your vision. Are you seeing clearly? Can you hear the words coming out of my mouth? I like that. You know,
I love that show.
is your speech understandable? How is your heart?
How's your heart? How's your
When
heart?
you assess yourself, you've got to ask yourself, how is your heart? And you've got to be very truthful about reassessing yourself. So you don't give yourself the goody answers, but you got to assess yourself to the point to say, I got to really look at me. What advice would you give someone who's in the position right now as we're getting ready for this next decade? To what advice would you give them, especially in this chapter, because they have had 10 years to assess the damage. And whatever's not working, we don't need to carry it over to the next decade. So what advice would you give someone who's really in a place and in a situation where, wow, I need to reassess myself, reassess what's working and what's not doing? What advice would you give them?
My apostle on Sunday spoke a very nice message that I'm going to use. That's what she spoke. And it was titled, Adjustment is Required. If you're going to go
Wow.
into 2020, it was very
Mhm.
good. You have to
Mhm.
understand what we just talked about. If it didn't work in 2019 and you find yourself, you have failed many times in 2019, going
Mhm.
into 2020, before you hit 2020, adjustment is required. You got to
Wow.
learn to adjust some things.
That's-
You've got to
Yes.
learn to align some things. You've got to
Yes.
learn to change in some things. You cannot
Yes.
continue doing the same thing over and over and looking for different results. I have
Mhm.
found out and I've been told that is insanity. That's
Mhm.
crazy. So, in
Mhm.
order to get something different than what you have been getting, you're going to have to adjust some things. And it is required if you're going to prosper, be fruitful, and go forth in the things that God has put in place for you to do. If it didn't work right this way, well, God, what did I not do that I should have done? What do I need to
Mhm.
assess? So, I need
Mhm.
to do some self examination. I need to get some counsel. Maybe I need to
Yes. You
get
put
some counsel.
or coach or mentor. Right.
It's not
Listen,
wrong. It's okay.
you're listening to Dinner Table Conversations with Apostle Dr. Stinson on BGK Network. Our guest today is the wonderful, beautiful Dr. Dr. Monica D. Lloyd, and we're talking about her book, I've Fallen and I Must Get Up. And she's given some practical steps to recovering from the fall. Listen, you can get us on your app. Just download the BGK app from your Apple or Google store. Tune in every Thursday from 2 p.m. Central Time or 8 p.m. and you can always view our show. We are so happy that you tuned in. Let's get back to Dr. Monica. Dr. Monica, you just really stated something where you talked about don't be afraid to get a coach. Don't be afraid to get a mentor. And we have some seconds yet, but I want to say, so we talked a little bit about that, but then is that part of how we recover from the fall? What are the first steps that we want to recover from a fall? What are the first steps we want to take? Is that one of the first steps is assessment?
It can be. Assessment can be, you need an assessment. You need to be accountable. You got to find out, now I failed, but I got to be accountable to something too. And therefore you got to allow people to help you to recover and get back up. So just learn to be receptive of help.
Wow. So we have a few minutes, and I really love this book, and I think it's a good book right now for this season as we're reassessing ourselves. So could you talk to our audience on how to get your book and give them your email and your website?
You got it. Once again, my name is Dr. Monica Lloyd. You can go to my website, www.drmonicalloyd.com. You can also find me on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as Dr. Monica Lloyd. Feel free to contact me via inbox or on my website, and I'll be glad to get back in touch with you. And thank you all so much.
Well, God bless you. I thank you for tuning in to Dinner Table Conversations with Apostle Dr. Stinson, hosted on BGK Network. It has been a pleasure to come into your homes and on your mobile phones. Listen, we don't take it lightly. Tune in and listen. Also, pass the word on that we are on the air. Please let others know. Let them know that it's a great broadcast. If you're looking for a place to spread the word and build your ministry, give me a call at 1-866-200-9850. 1-866-200-9850. You can also reach me at my website at www.SoniaStinsonMinistries.com, or you can email me at SoniaStinsonMinistries@gmail.com. Until next time, again, thank you for tuning in. God bless you, and I will see you in our studios live next week.
Matthew House comes from the scripture Matthew 25:35. I was a stranger and you took me in. I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was in prison and you came to visit me. That's how we developed Matthew House. 3 African American men who had the compassion and the love of people who are all veterans. My name is Dr. Sonia Ricketts Stinson, and I am the Executive Director and the CEO of Matthew House.
Right now we're in the common room, which is also named as the day room. This is where most of our clients eat during the daytime. This is where they can watch TV. This is where they can socialize.
Hi, my name is Kirsten Dickens. I work as a nurse practitioner and one of the providers at Heartland Alliance Health. So here, Heartland Alliance has a number of outreach sites around the city, so linkage agreements with certain sites where we take our typical outpatient clinic model and bring it in to specific outreach sites, Matthew House being one of them.
Or they can go and get their public entitlement benefits, or helping with a storage bid, supplying the blankets, or supplying the toiletries. Cleaning supplies is something we take for granted. Other things that we have to get done. There's building maintenance that we have to take care of. There's the supported service at the program staff who have to definitely be here from 12 hours a day in order that the individuals are not in the heat and they're not in the cold. So we need your help. We need your financial support.
We need volunteers. You can go to our website at MatthewHouseChicago.org. There's a donation button, but most of all, we need funds. We need all that we can get to fix this building because these people need a place to be.
And I'm glad I'm here, and I will continue to be here until I'm not here anymore.